Welcome back to Midday. We are down at the Kamloops Art Gallery this afternoon, catching up with interim curator Adrienne Fast. It's great to see you again.
Thank you so much for coming again. It's nice to see you.
Well, thank you for having us. We're talking today about an exhibition here in the main gallery that has everything to do with youth culture.
Yes, for spring we have two related exhibitions. They're really companion exhibitions in our central gallery space, both having to do with youth culture and our social ideas about youth. One is called Kids These Days and the other is called Super Young. They were both guest curated for us by Zoe Chan, who is an independent curator based in Vancouver, but the works themselves, the artworks come from artists all across Canada and in a real variety of media. There's video work, drawing, painting, installation of posters like you can see on the wall here. But the sort of starting point for both of the exhibitions is that our modern idea of youth as this special period of time in your life between childhood and adulthood where you're developing your personality and somehow need to be a bit protected from the onslaught of the real world is really a very modern concept, something that really only developed in the 20th century out of disciplines like anthropology and psychology. Previously, people were considered to be fully fledged adults capable of things like marriage and full-time work by the time they were 11 or 12.
Right, so the study of this in-between age is quite new in the history of things.
Yeah, and it's a social construct. It's something that, it's not a natural idea, it's something that we've agreed as a society is this special category of time in our lives. And with that comes different, really conflicting kind of ideas about youth. So on the one hand, we might think of youth as this time of creativity and unlimited possibility and authenticity. But then we also have this idea that youth are a bit wild and dangerous and maybe in need of being controlled. So the artists in both of these exhibitions are really exploring those concepts and what we think about how can youth be expressed visually.
Okay, so in this particular part of the gallery, you're going to talk about one specific wall.
Yes, so this room of the gallery is the exhibition Kids These Days. So the difference between the two exhibitions, I would say Kids These Days, the artists are really adopting a kind of a distant approach. They're studying youth culture as an outsider, sort of like a journalist or an anthropologist might. So the artist I would like to talk about, for example, is Kyla Mallet. She has taken something that I remember from my youth that is really no longer done anymore, but passing notes back and forth in high school.
When we all did that.
With cell phones and with smartphones, that's a kind of communication that was identified with youth, which is now really obsolete. But a lot of these notes were really kind of beautiful artworks in and of themselves. I remember multiple colors, special drawings. So she's found some of those old notes between herself and some of her friends, and she's blown them up into large-scale photographs. So giving them the kind of the magnitude of a work of art on the wall, and making us think about how an art form that was associated with youth 15, 20 years ago is now going to be completely obsolete for the next generation, and therefore how youth are communicating with each other in different ways now than they used to.
That's very interesting. I've not even thought about that, but I also come from that generation of passing notes.
Do you have a shoebox full of them anymore? I'm afraid I got rid of mine.
I know, me too. Yeah. And if I found them, I don't know if I'd want to post them up on the wall, so this is bold.
A little bit embarrassing.
Yes.
I would say a lot of the works in the exhibition, there's an element of nostalgia, but some of the stories make you cringe when you remember that time of your own youth. Yeah. It's a little awkward and embarrassing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's another wall in the other room that you were going to talk about as well.
So the other room has the exhibition Super Young, and I would say that the artists, by and large, in that exhibition, instead of remaining distant observers, they really unreservedly adopt the styles and the modes of expression of youth themselves. So there's one set of works that I'm particularly excited about by the artist Sarah Gotauqua. And she takes a form of art making that was very popular for young women 100 years ago, which is dried pressed flowers. So again, a mode of expression that 100 years ago was very popular, was very common, but is now out of date. So she has she's created these beautiful pressed flower arrangements. She's put them in these beautiful, ornate, very old-fashioned frames, but then she has very delicately cut out of the flowers to create text, and the texts that she's chosen are all lyrics from Drake songs. So updating a very old-fashioned mode of expression into a contemporary sort of idiom. And talking about how, again, I can remember when I was young, there's a particular song that you find that seems to perfectly express the way that you feel and the way that we identify with maybe celebrities, singers, actors, people like that in an obsessive kind of way, especially when we're young.
Awesome. And then finally, you've incorporated some artwork from area teens or youth around our area that you've also put up on the separate wall in the back here. On the front.
So because the artists in both of these exhibitions are, some of them not quite so young themselves, they are all adults, we felt it was very important to also include the voice of actual youth from this area. So we ran a youth art contest before the exhibitions opened. We asked anyone between the ages of 13 and 19 to submit their original two-dimensional artwork, so drawing or painting, on the theme of anything that was important to them. And we got a whole lot of submissions, wonderful works, and then we developed a sort of a jury process with a youth as well, so to select the top 10, and then we've put them in the North Corridor in the exhibition so that we can see expressions from youth themselves as well as expressions about youth.
Fantastic. So this is a real study of youth and that sort of middle generation time of your life.
Yeah.
And when does this run through? Until July?
Till July 1st.
Okay,
yes.
So people are welcome to come down and check it out. It's really interesting, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot of really wonderful work. There's a lot of things that are interactive where you can sit and read, you can participate, you can take things away. So they're very fresh, they're very fun, they're kind of perfect exhibitions for spring.
Fantastic. Adrienne, thank you for being here today to tell us about it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Fantastic. All right, you can come and check this down at the Kamloops Art Gallery from now through until July 1st, Canada Day. You can also go online and check out what else is going on at the gallery.